All right, everybody, welcome to Tesla Today. For this show, we're going to have a wide-ranging conversation. We're going to talk about everything from FSD to CyberTruck, different kinds of Tesla milestones like the partnerships, the revised Model 3, Tesla Energy, the upcoming AI Day 3, and of course, the production numbers that are coming out in the stock. So we have Nicholas Gibbs with us. He is his own host of his YouTube channel called Investing Against the Grain. As you can tell from the channel name, he's big into stocks. He's been following investments. And so he'd be a perfect person for us to kind of get his feel. I mean, I've had him on the show several times now, and he's given me direction about what he expected with the economy and what was going to happen with the stock. This was when things were dire early in the year, before the year. And he was right. He was correct to say that wait until you see earnings, wait until things turn around, cautious. And then it did slow down and then it turned around. So welcome, Nicholas. How are you doing?
Good. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me back, Herbert.
Oh, I want you here as often as I can, but you're so busy. But I did see that you ended up buying a Model Y performance. Whoa. Okay, what are you doing?
Yeah. No, so this was it, it was always a struggle because I don't like taking on debt. And we already had our car paid off. We're a one car household. We both work from home. So it's just really hard to justify it. But then, as time went by, it just wanted it more and more. And then I started making other reasons why I want to wait, right? So it became, well, let's wait for hardware 4 to come out. And then we started hearing about the S next having it. It's like, okay, well, I don't want to
Uh,
buy something and not have hardware 4 when we're this close, which ironically, my best friend bought a Model Y the month prior. So he's got a little envy there. But then hardware 4 just started becoming the standard on all the Model Ys. The reports were showing, and so then I guess it was at the beginning of June, we just pulled the trigger and we were like, all right, let's do it. And as far as the performance, well, my wife, she liked the red calipers, so we got the performance for that.
because of the
That's
red
the reason.
calipers.
Yep. And it was, it was, how could I say no to that? Because I wanted to make sure we got the FSD package on it.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there spending 15 grand. How do I say no to 4 grand there? It's like, so it was a win-win for both of us. Happy family, and it's like having a new, I don't know, like a new part of the family right now. It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, it makes sense, obviously. So, because we are in the know, many of us, like you and me, wait for the hardware 4. I think it's a big deal. Hardware 4 is a bigger deal than hardware 3. It's a step change in computer and cameras. And so I'm doing the same thing. I've been waiting as well. But most people, they don't know these things and it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. So, have you been playing with FSD like crazy then, or how's that experience been?
So I've used FSD a lot in the past. So what I would do is I would either well, no, this is what I would do. I would Turo vehicles that had FSD, and then I would play with them all around where I live, and so that I had an understanding. It's just I needed to. I couldn't watch any more YouTube videos. It's like, you know what, we don't want to buy yet, but I will go and I'll Turo this car out for $600 for about a week, and I'm just gonna play with it nonstop. And so
Yeah.
now that I kind of have it, I'm waiting for it to get pushed to me. So if you
Oh,
guys have
okay.
seen me, I'm kind of annoying Elon. I'm giving him a break today because it's his birthday. So happy birthday, by the way. But I'm giving him a break because I keep saying, asking him, push an update, please push an update. But I don't know if I'll get it either way because I have hardware 4, and I'm hearing rumors that there aren't any FSD or people with FSD have hardware 4 yet. I don't know if that's true or not, but so I haven't played with it yet. But I don't mind that because right now it's almost like it'd be too much dopamine at once, right? Or like I get to drag out these dopamine hits. So right now I'm getting used to the car itself, playing with navigate on autopilot, just enjoying again to learn the car, which it's crazy. As much as I follow and talk and how many different Teslas I've used, there's so much I still didn't know until I had one on my own. But yeah, so hopefully I get FSD soon, and yeah, that's my wife will probably yell at me because I'll probably be out a lot with it, just trying to test out edge cases and whatnot. So, anyways, that's a long way of saying, unfortunately, no, I don't have it yet, but I'm waiting.
Okay. No, no, that makes sense. So actually, so because you are more of an investor, you kind of waited it out. You didn't want to get into debt. So that's all very good investment advice. You're very conservative for a young guy. You're very conservative and you plan things properly. So that's what I like about you. in our conversations. I'm getting to know you better. So FSD, let me just share some updates on that. And I know you know all this already, but so in May, a couple months ago, right? May, June, March, April, May, June, a month ago, Elon said that version 11.4 should be version 12 because there's so many major improvements. Version 12 is reserved for when FSD's end-to-end AI, images in to steering, brakes, and acceleration. So right now, neural nets is only for the images, but not yet for steering, brakes, and acceleration. And that's what they're going to add for version 12. He also then said that 11.4.1 is major architectural improvements. It's actually much more than a point, but they're trying to save, I think, version 11.69 for something big. And in short, arguably version 12, that's reserved for when FSC is fully AI. So he's just kind of repeated that. And then he said this, which is interesting. He said that Tesla aspires to be helpful to as many car companies as possible. We already know that they made their patents freely available, but now we're enabling other companies to use our supercharger network. And then he is saying this several times now, over and over again. Also happy to license Autopilot, FSD, or other Tesla technology. Do you think, Nicholas, that that other companies will license Autopilot? I mean, obviously they will at some point, but how close do you think it is? I mean, you can see him saying this over and over again, but I was like, is this 5 years away from now? Is this something that can happen this year?
Yeah, so it's funny. I've seen that last tweet you sent, but this is the first time I'm realizing that he bolded FSD. Um, like unless my eyes are playing tricks on me,
No, no, he
I
did.
know. Yeah, that's I don't know. That doesn't mean anything really,
Mhm.
but it's interesting to see that. Yeah, I think. I mean, it's hard to say, right? Like, assuming we are all correct, and Tesla will be the first one to actually solve this where it's scalable. I think yes, absolutely. Companies are going to license it. I mean, who knows what version 12 means, right? Because with a lot of people who are using 11.4 dot whatever version, right? Whatever you have, 2, 3, 4, etc. And after what we just saw with the Ross fiasco and all that, people will probably say, okay, well, Elon's saying that 11.4 should arguably be called 12, but now 12 he's saying is it won't be beta anymore. I mean, it just makes you wonder, like, okay, what does that mean, right? What does that actually mean? But let's
Yeah.
assume that version 12 means that we're going to get to a point where you and I think, are in agreement on this ChatGPT moment or whatever. And whether it's them saying, hey, you don't, the onus is on us. You can just hang out. You don't have to put your hands on the steering wheel, or you can go in the back seat. Once we start
No.
playing with that type stuff,
Mhm.
in those moments, I think that's when we'll see probably Ford be the first one to come out and say, okay, you know what, we can ditch Blue Cruise and you save all
Mhm.
that money there, and we'll just focus, we'll just work with Tesla on this, because GM's not going to do that. I guarantee you, GM will not be licensing anything from Tesla when it comes to FSD. At least won't be one of the first ones like they were with the supercharging. I mean, that's just kind of my thoughts. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you're right that as much as I think that if I was a competitor for one of these other companies, I'd already partnered today, but it doesn't make sense, like you
Agreed.
say. Wait until version 12. And I think you're right about Ford being the first. The question of what is version 12, basically what he said was um, version 12 won't be beta. So what that normally means in my mind, and I know you're a hardware developer, you're a software developer, so I'm a startup guy, product manager of software, and beta means to me that that it won't have as many bugs. I don't believe that version 12 means that it's going to be robotaxi. It doesn't mean that you can sleep in the back. What it just simply means is there's going to be less bugs, less chance for it to fail. It could be
Yeah.
at 99%, and I would call that not beta anymore. Even though, of course, you can't just you can't just unsupervised, but it just means it should not have any of the obvious bugs like running a stop sign. And version
Which
12.
which it didn't do.
Mhm.
Which it didn't do.
Which no, no, it didn't do. But also keep in mind that they just showed that Dojo is now in production. He did say that they've already started to test it out in the last month, but it's going to be fully in production this in July, right? And so that's going
Y
to accelerate. the millions of videos. I don't know if you saw the video that Ashok released in YouTube. I just watched that just this morning, and it's impressive. I mean, like the car can now remap based on all the videos it's had from multiple cars, not just ours, mine, but all the other Teslas that's driven through the same geography. It can remap it, and it looks like it's a real video.
Mm.
you know, and so they got this. I mean, this issue of knowing if it's a stop sign or missing the stop sign, that's because it's not run. All these videos have not been able to be processed as fast, and now that they will. Anyways, I think that version 12 just means that it won't be beta. That's what he means, and that now he doesn't give a timeline. Some people think that's later this year, but come on, we've heard that before. So I'm not. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not gonna cross my fingers on that one.
let me pick your brain on this because I haven't had a chance to talk to anybody about this recently. But with the whole dojo thing, so I'm a little confused about the production part of it, right? Because
Yeah,
is he saying, or are they saying, and maybe Ashok's video mentioned it today, which I didn't realize, by the way. We're gonna have to come back to that because I've
yeah.
only seen like a clip of what was talked about. Um, but when they say that production starts in, say July, are they saying production of building dojo tiles and the
No,
supercomputer starts, or
no, no, no.
putting it into production?
Yeah. It's software, right? So they're very different. So software means that they're going to start using the dojo. It'll be start to be used. But then Elon replied back saying we actually have already started using it last month, but it's like officially in production as opposed to not that they're building it.
Okay.
It's already been built. It's been built over years.
Yeah, I guess
You
what
know.
I'm saying is like as far as like, there's prototyping, but then there's building at scale. And so that's why I was kind
Yes,
of confused. And like, are you saying, okay, we're going to put it into production, or are you saying we're going to start the production of this at scale? And I was like,
I
just the
see.
wording, it's like, I don't know what
Yeah.
exactly you're saying here.
Gotcha, gotcha. I asked the same question to James Dalma, and what he said to me was that the way it's so right now, Tesla's FSD is using this NVIDIA computer
Hmm.
supercluster from NVIDIA's, and I can't remember what he called it, but stacks. And I
Yeah,
think
the
they're using
clusters.
5 stacks. And then when they add Dojo, it's not like Dojo is going to replace NVIDIA. They're just going to add it as one, and they'll start with one, then they'll start adding more. And that's what he's saying. This is going to be additive to what they're doing. That's what he told me a long time ago.
Yeah. And you're probably going to just, you can like carve out what compute you need for what task you're doing. And I mean, that's the beauty of software and virtualization. But yeah, so you said you watched, you said Ashok put out a video today, or
Yeah.
tell me about that.
Yeah.
I
I'm
think everybody
actually
wants to know
just
about that.
Okay, well, I'm actually just while we're talking, I downloaded the video and I'm about to upload it now. So let's just
Oh,
do that.
amazing.
So let's keep chatting while I'm doing this. But
While you
yeah,
download that, yeah. So
yeah,
the reason I think GM won't be the one to do it is I feel like they're too invested into Cruise right now, and I mean you heard Mary Barra talk about it with Andrew Ross Sorkin, I guess 2 days ago now, and right now Cruise is under $1 billion business, but they anticipate that by 2030 it being a $50 billion business. And I mean, I think the way she's thinking about things is the right way. I mean, it's the reason we're also bullish on Tesla. I mean, plus all the other S curves, but that could actually be their kryptonite,
yeah.
assuming Tesla it does have the right approach and everything they're doing is correct. And Ford, I don't feel like they're that invested into Blue Cruise, right? They need to have
Yeah.
something for shareholders. They need to show that they're working towards something. But I almost feel like they're like, okay, well, we'll have something just to say we got it, but we're not going to put too much money into it. And we're going to slow roll it until we see what Tesla's doing. I,
We all know that they're all failures. They cannot succeed because they don't have a supercomputer, let alone even one that is 1/10 what Tesla has had for several years. They don't have the miles. I just, Super Cruise is just, fancy autopilot. Uh, Take a look. Yeah, here it is. I found the video. Sorry, guys. This is the June of 2023, the same conference.
Tesla vehicles the self-driving stack are just folded into
Okay.
neural net.
Let me go find a spot because I just want to show you this. Here it is.
Really do a lot of cool things to reconstruct the entire scene. Not sure if the video plays quite nicely, but in my own screen, it looks very smooth, where you can see the ground surface. It's reconstructed quite nicely. There's like no artifacts such as double vision or blurring. Things are like crisp, look like geometric, they are correct. This is a hybrid approach to NERV and general 3D reconstruction. Sometimes in NERV, even though the re-rendered visuals might look very nice, the underlying geometry might be very fuzzy and cloudy. So we have a hybrid approach, which works quite nicely. And you can see here, the barriers, the vehicles, even trucks, etc., are reconstructed pretty accurately.
So does he talk about what they use this for? I mean, obviously a lot of things, but
Yeah.
do they talk? Is it mainly for their simulations, or they like
Not
create
just
a map data
simulations.
for it?
So
Yeah.
yes. So you know how Cruise is able to be hired right now as a robo-taxi in a very specific geography. But that's
Mhm.
because they have thousands and thousands of dollars worth of LiDAR and equipment, and they've done high def GPS mapping of every single thing, curbs, everything like that, right? Very, very expensive. Well, now every Tesla driving with just the 8 cameras, they're able to reconstruct that to the point that you saw. It's like cars and trees and curbs. And so every Tesla that's driving is basically is doing, and they did say it's not as high def as the LiDAR would be, but it's exactly what they needed. That's all they needed. So every car that's driving today is feeding all their videos. Every car
Mhm.
everywhere is driving right now, the 4 million Teslas. And they needed a massive supercomputer to be able to ingest that and then understand that. So this whole idea of that corner, if you had several Teslas drive through the Crook's corner, which people are calling it now, which is that edge case of a the late stop sign and can't visually see it. If just a few Teslas have driven through it, loaded up to the to the mothership, they already know it. It's all going to be reconstructed. They got it. It's like it's and then they will. He did talk about simulation as well. Now they can do. Interestingly, what he said was they can now do prediction of what could happen in the future, and then they can play around with various futures and what would the car do if various futures occur. So you see that, you tell me.
Yeah. No, I mean it. It's hard because I want to hear it's hard to talk about amongst ourselves, right? Like it's even hard to listen to
Yeah.
James Dalma talk because he's one of us. And so it's like I would love to talk to somebody who's an actual devil's advocate, right? And like to try and get me to a point where I would sit there and say, "Okay, you might have a point here." But I can't seem to get there. I mean, the closest thing that I've had to that is with so that same conference where again Andrew Ross Sorkin was talking to Mary Barra, I would say Cruise is scaling out decently. They're going to 8 cities now that they're planning on launching, I think this year, something like that. So, that's pretty respectable. That's not everywhere, obviously, and it's almost a different kind of use case. But other than that, like I don't know. It's hard because I get excited, like you're saying, and honestly, like a lot of my, my channel is investing against the grain. Why? Because I think
Mm,
much like you, most people would say we are idiotic for going all into a company. Yet
mhm.
the best investments I ever had was when I put the majority of my money in Apple, when I put the majority of my
Yeah.
money into Amazon, and now in Tesla. So it's like, well, you say that's stupid, yet all the other companies I've invested on, none of them did that well. Even Nvidia. I was in Nvidia back in 2014, and it didn't do crap for me for like 3 years. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm wasting my money here. Let me put it back into Amazon, and that worked out well for me. But so yeah, so it's just hard to see another point of view when it comes to it because it just seems like what Tesla's doing makes so much sense and it works everywhere. Like I almost just want to see them and I'm not saying they should do this because I don't think they should, but I would love to see them geofence an area that
Yes.
Waymo and Cruise are in. Let's
Yes.
just see it. Let's just see how it
Yes.
works. I know Omar made that video recently, but like,
Yeah.
let's just see it. Let's put it through its paces. Let's see who makes more mistakes over time, over many, many drives. Like, I'm so curious.
Yeah. Well, you know that in reality they've already done this, right? So you know that in different cities, like there's a reason why when Omar takes his car in the San Francisco area, it's because it's Tesla FSD has been overfitted for that
Mhm.
geography because there's so many Teslas with FSD and just so many Teslas that's been driven in. And I think that they ingested that video as priority uh, versus I think somebody said like for example Chicago, right? There's just not enough people driving there, and so you will see completely different reactions. But you know, and that's one of the reasons. It's but now that they have Dojo, they can make this happen faster. But I agree with you. That would be great. This you know, right, to go city by city or even jurisdictions like suburbs and but okay, watch that video and it's complicated, but you just know for sure at this point that it's like Jesus, this is what Tesla's cars are able to see, able to understand. And he even talked about how the occupancy network knows whether there's an object in certain space or not, and they don't label it. They just know if there's something there, I better not hit it. But then he said, well, if you think about it, fog, you can't see through fog. And if it's a piece of paper, you don't know if that is something you can drive through or not. They are now able to differentiate, is what I
Mm.
don't know if that's the exact terminology, of course, but he just basically said those are issues that we're working towards to realizing that that's something that even though it's fog, we know that you can go through that. And so, okay, so that's FSD. I know it. Nobody can believe Elon anymore when he says that it's coming this year. But what is different this year than every single year he's ever said this is that Dojo is in production. And
Yeah.
so it's July and we've got till December. And if they are able to ingest that videos and the neural nets are able to learn. And then the other thing is how now the steering and navigation is also going to be neural net driven. That's the other thing, the decision making. So okay, so we'll see what happens there. What are you most excited about? I was going to ask you this. What do you think is the next, if you had to just totally guess, I don't know if you do this kind of stuff. You're not one to speculate.
Oh,
But if you were to speculate, what would you think is the next big announcement by Tesla?
oh, the next. Oh, okay. I thought this was going
Yeah.
somewhere else. I thought you were gonna ask
Yeah.
what's the next big market mover. Okay, for Tesla, the next big announcement. Hmm. I don't think it'll be a factory.
Wow.
I don't think. Yeah. I mean, I think
That's
we'll
the
get a
easy
factory
answer.
announcement at the end of this year. Um. Uh. And my family's from Spain, so I hate this whole thing with Spain where they couldn't
Oh,
keep their mouth shuts. Like, yeah. So what? Yeah. Let me think. Because we're in. Let's just call it July.
yeah.
Um. Okay, I don't know if you call this a big announcement, but I think it'll be the groundbreaking of Giga Mexico. Um, so if
Mhm.
you consider that big announcement, from there, I think
About the
it.
pause, I don't know
Okay,
if you believe this, but there was news that came out that the governor of, or is it mayor? The governor of Nuevo Leon said that it's delayed and it's going to be 12 weeks delayed. So it may not happen in July, but okay. Just
oh, well, I mean,
FYI.
well, I'm just saying we're in July, so I'm just like working timeline. So okay, so even then, July, August, September. Okay, so September might be a huge month then, because September could be AI Day 2. It could be groundbreaking in Mexico.
3.
And then it could also be Cybertruck unveil. So forget about what's the next big announcement. What's the next big month? It's September then.
Yeah, yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
I would not be, not financial advice. I would not be out of Tesla in September. Let's put
So
it
do you
that
think
way.
so? So do you think that will be a stock mover? Are you one of those people that believes that the Cybertruck will actually make a difference? Somebody used the old stats that said every time there is a big platform that Tesla rolled out, the Model 3, the stock jumped it after that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be a big deal because now they just increase their TAM, right? Their total addressable market by being in the truck segment. So one way or another, that's bullish. We know it's not like there's a lack of demand. We already know there's extreme demand. If you need any other proof, you got two people here who I'm sure have Cybertruck reservations. But
Mhm.
on top of that, and this is where I think it'll be really interesting. How fast will Tesla ramp this and beat out all these people who were starting before Tesla and Tesla's behind and whatever, all the narrative about, you hear Jim Farley talking about how we got the biggest production for EV trucks and all this, and the Rivian, and all this chatter. Let's see how fast the Cybertruck ramps up. That will be very interesting. If in less than a year the Cybertruck's already ramped up past what the Lightning is, and the Lightning's been out for like 2 years now, that will be very interesting. But yeah, it's a whole new TAM, and it's a whole different kind of product that appeals to more than just truck people, right? All kinds of people. Like I don't need a truck. Like
I don't
I
either.
imagine you don't need a truck, but I want a Cybertruck.
I do too.
Like so that TAM is, in my opinion, bigger than just truck drivers. So you got truck drivers, and then you have all these other people who are like, well, you know, I also want this. It's just a different type of product, and this is coming from someone that when I first saw it, I thought it was the ugliest thing I ever saw.
Same there.
You did too? Yeah, I was like,
I did
but
too.
then,
Took me 24 hours though.
oh no, it took me like 5 months.
Really?
Yeah,
No. No.
yeah,
That
took me
was
like 5 months,
no.
and the more and more I saw it, like I was sitting. I remember the moment. I remember I was sitting there looking like something's wrong with me because all of a sudden I think this looks really awesome. And this wasn't like me like fanboying or anything, right? Because like I said, I thought he was hideous at first. I'm like, what the hell is that? And now I think it's one of the best looking things I've ever seen. And I've said this so many times now, so apologies if I've said it on your channel before, or if anyone's heard me say this. It is one of the only products I've ever seen that reminds me of like a sunset. Now, let me explain.
What? I've
If you've
never heard that one before. I'd remember because it sounds really odd, but okay, go ahead.
if you've ever seen like a really incredible sunset, maybe over the
Yes.
ocean, and then what do? You pull your phone up to try to capture it, and you take a picture, and then you look at it, and you're like, oh, that's garbage. Like it's not. I'm trying to capture something.
Gotcha.
The
Gotcha.
Cybertruck is the same thing. When you see it in person,
Yeah.
it's like, whoa, it is so different. And I don't know how else to I remember during the shareholder meeting last year, I'm sitting there like sitting down next to it, eating my lunch. I try to take pictures and sending it to my wife. Like, I don't know how to capture this, but like it looks so like it looks cool. In person, it's just like, whoa, what am I standing next to? And
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a factor to that you can't explain, but that's what Gary Black keeps talking about, the marketing when they're driving everywhere, the head turning. You guys will see if you haven't seen it in person, especially if you don't like it right now, if you don't like the design. When you see it in person, it's a game changer.
Yeah. So a couple comments. One is the reason I reacted when you said 5 months is I had a theory that when you first see the truck for the very first time, your reaction for 90% of people is this is odd looking, it's ugly, because your mind has never even registered that shape for a truck. Okay. But it took me 24 hours. And the reason why I found it beautiful is because it's simplistic. You know how triangles are beautiful, and
Mhm.
the Fibonacci sequence, right? And the what is it? What is that? The circle, so it's just absolutely perfect. And so it's like the pyramids. It's a simple
Yeah.
pyramid, but people look at the pyramid and this is the most beautiful thing that's possible out there. Well, why? Because it's just the simplicity. It's broken down to simplicity. So 5 months. It's like 5 months. Now here's my prediction about the scalability. Now we've heard Elon say and repeated many, many times, and it makes sense that this is the hardest thing for them to produce because they've never produced this. This is completely different than any car or vehicles ever been made. It's got two different materials. It's got different structure. Everything's completely new. So he's warning us that it's going to be slow. But here's the thing. It's going to be slow, and then it's going to be so fast. It's going to be faster scale than anything else. Why? Because the way they designed the truck was from day one based on manufacturability, based on first principle, and they did not design a truck based on what should a truck do. They just designed it of what can we build easiest. And that's why they came up with the angular lines and simply stainless steel and plucking them together. And then that's how they came up with it. They've talked about it several times. So I think that once they nail the production line, it's going to be even faster than other cars.
Yeah. Well, I also don't think, I mean, I don't know off the top of my head how many Lightnings are being made per month, per quarter, but it's not that many. So even if it's a slow ramp, I don't think it will need to be that fast of a ramp to at least catch up to Ford. And
Yeah.
at that point, just the headlines from that alone, Tesla catches Ford, Tesla outsells Ford with EV trucks, anything like that, like that's a big deal. It's not nothing, and it's positive headlines towards Tesla, and it gives validation to them in the truck segment. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's gonna be a really big deal. Again, it does open up the TAM, total addressable market for them. And the biggest thing they have going for them one of the biggest things, because you just pointed out a very good a very good point. But the other thing is they have now gone through the ramps of all these different type of form factors for electric vehicles. And while Cybertruck is so much different, they know what to look out for with respects to this. Whereas Ford is still going through their first iteration of their electric vehicle, the Lightning, and even the Mach-E, which isn't doing well in sales. So they still have so much learning to do, where this isn't Tesla's first EV product to learn from. So, they're not going to make mistakes that Ford will make in their second version of a vehicle, right? Tesla's on their sixth version or whatever of a vehicle. So there's a lot there as well that will help them ramp, even though it's a new process. But to the point, the new process was designed for manufacturability. So,
I apologize. I was looking away for a little bit because I found the screenshot I wanted to show you. I'm sure you've seen this, right? Have I shown you this already?
No, you haven't, but yeah, I've seen this.
You've seen it?
Mm-hmm.
I love this. So this is a slide created by Lance King, who's the CEO of Cyberlander. Cyberlander is that camper that pops up that's built specifically for the Cybertruck. So you buy it, you put it in the back of the Cybertruck, and you can now have a bed, you have a stove, you have a toilet and shower. It's pretty high tech. But this was his analysis, and you tell me if it's correct. So when people decide to buy a vehicle, any kind of vehicle, they look at it based on these 6 different categories, right? Performance, economy, luxury. I think this is technology down below here. Or what does it say? Automation, utility, and value. Okay. When you're looking to buy an economy car, that's the green. The economy car is high value, high utility, usually very low automation, very low performance, and looks like it's decent economy, but very low luxury. Okay. So people who are looking for economy car, they want to maximize the value and the utility, right? A sports car, they want high performance. That's the yellow line, high performance, and they don't care so much about the value, and it's got high performance, high luxury, right? And they're going to willing to let go of the other factors. And then if you look at a normal truck, that's the red SUV or pickup truck. It's high value, high utility, high luxury, but low economy, low performance, and low automation. Okay. So if you believe this, if this is the way it works, his point is that if you look at Cybertruck, it's the blue line. It's going to be the best performance of any vehicle out there, the best economy of any vehicle out there, the best luxury, which you can counter is not true because it's kind of a, spare inside, the best automation, technology-wise, the best utility, the best value. So this is one explanation of why people might buy a Cybertruck, even though they weren't necessarily looking for a pickup truck.
Yeah, I would probably change this potentially a little bit. Like, for example, I agree with some of the things you just said there, but like economy, I guess it depends on what you're saying. If you're talking about economy from a price perspective,
Mhm.
that might need to come in. If you're talking about economy from a, like fuel economy, miles per gallon, or then okay, maybe this is right. Um, Luxury, I agree with you. It's I wouldn't put the luxury all the way out there in front of a sports car, or luxury car, because I would even say, like, at least assuming that what we saw from Franz over the weekend is somewhat what it's going to look like, you could say the Model S, Model X are have more luxury comfort features than what the Cybertruck's going to have, right?
Yeah, they
They've
do.
got
Yeah.
a screen in front, they got a screen in the back. So, I mean, you can argue that either way. So I would maybe tuck that in a little bit. Utility, it's a truck. This is gonna be a big deal. This is gonna be a very big deal. Like I really I don't want to get my hopes up, but I really hope Tesla has taken their time with the Cybertruck, not to figure out how to manufacture it, but to figure out how on day one, when they announce the final product, that it can do everything like an F-150 can do.
Yeah.
Towing, still have mileage after towing, everything. That would be a statement piece. If they said, "Yeah, cool. We got a bed full. We're towing X amount of weight. We still have range. We can still go for X amount of hours," right?
Right.
Like that.
Yeah.
I really hope that's the case, because then it becomes a a lightning killer, if you will.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that. That's
Yeah.
tongue in cheek, obviously. But
Mhm.
so yeah. So with that, with utility, I think that's to be seen. But yeah, in general, I agree. It hits so many different segments. It's a Lamborghini meets a Cadillac Suburban meets a
Mhm.
VW turbo diesel injection high mileage vehicle meets a F-150. I mean, it's everything all in one. Like it really is. It's just now we got to see what the final specs are, and just get
Yeah.
building.
When I showed this to Corey Steuben of Monroe and Associates, he had a very good response, which is, this is great. It probably, symbolically probably correct, but he would prefer that it was data driven, and that these kind of measures had more data attached to it. So, but I think symbolically kind of makes sense,
Yeah.
and that explains how people think of the truck versus others.
Yeah,
Okay.
you
Yeah.
can't always be data driven to an extent, because if you're always solely data driven, which I believe in being data driven, but sometimes you don't have the data for it. For example,
Yeah.
we don't have the data of how to actually make an autonomous vehicle.
Yeah.
Yet we can
Exactly.
read all the telltale signs and see and make a good investment to get that delta. So if I already know all the data to how the Cybertruck's going to be, well then, I mean, that's where a market's made. That's where
Yeah.
that upside comes in. So sometimes you have to just be able to see around the peripherals and make a good educated guess.
Okay, let's talk stock. So you are investing against the grain. You like to do a lot of investing. You like to study. You are very conservative in some cases, but I also noticed that you said that you do go kind of semi all in on big companies, like you said, Amazon and others. So you're very similar to me, but you're very conservative in the way you look at the market and so forth. Now, so you probably won't answer this, but what's going to happen to the stock at the end of this couple weeks from now, given the production and delivery numbers, and what will happen for the second half of this year? So, we're expecting it to be record numbers, record delivery, but it could already be built in. Do you have any sense of what might happen after Sunday?
Yeah. So just kind of take a step back so you guys understand my biases. So my channel, Investing Against the Grain, when I created it, if you look at my very first episode ever, which all right, is honestly embarrassing to look at, but if you did watch it, it's the reason I called the channel Investing Against the Grain is because the whole point was because I realized that diversification is stupid.
Yeah.
And in that
Yes.
video, I have a clip of Warren Buffett saying
Yes.
diversification is a hedge against, or is a hedge against ignorance. Something like that.
Mhm.
I might be butchering it, but so that was my whole point. And so that's when I realized, like, to have conviction, to really understand a company and to go all in into it. Anyway, so just to let you guys know what I'm about to say, I'm all in Tesla, so I have a bias. So just
Mhm.
putting that out there, and I'm aware of that. But with that said, I think as long as Tesla gets to decent, I mean, it's gonna be record numbers. I think no matter what, but as long as it's decent and it tracks towards getting to 1.8 to 2 million by the end of the year, and feels like we're on that path. I think what's really going to move Tesla is what's going to happen Friday with PCE coming out. I think that's what's going to move things, because if PCE comes out and it's, say, just at, I think it's 0.4 month over month is what the expectations are, or even lower. And if Tesla just does what they have to do, they don't need to blow it out, then I think the market rallies. I don't think it's just a Tesla. I think the market's going to rally. I don't think that this Tesla rally we've had is baked in because of what we think these numbers are going to be. No, I think it's people seeing what's happening, seeing the Tesla story, seeing that, oh, these OEMs are willing to license something or work with Tesla. That's a big deal, because now that door's open. Now, what else does that mean? That's also them kind of bending the knees, kind of giving supremacy to Tesla. Like, there's a lot of things that means. And so I don't know. I think Te- I think Tesla should easily be a $1 trillion stock right now. Obviously, a market is right in any given point in time, but I think it's extremely undervalued, especially with what we know the worst to be behind us with inflation, with the Fed pausing, with whatever's happening in Ukraine. Like, the macro seems to almost be calming down a little bit compared to where we were this time last year. This time
Well,
last year is like every other day was a black swan event. So
okay, so again, you're whenever I talk to you, it's like I always think that you're conservative because you were conservative a few months ago. Now you're being a
well,
little bit more. So
yeah. Well, I think what you're referring to is when we were talking in
I know
January,
everything.
or yeah,
Yep.
January, February, and yeah, I was, and I was telling everybody I was hoarding cash and all that, and
Yes.
then and then I have it on my YouTube channel. One of the videos, I don't remember which one, but I think we were at, like, I don't know, maybe like 140, maybe like high 130s, something. And I said that, it seems like there's a tide has changed. I literally tweeted too. I said, like, there's something in the air, something seems different, and I
Mhm.
went ahead and deployed all my cash that I
Nice.
had. And so luck, it's just luck. Like, that's all it
Sure.
was.
Yeah.
I was just saving in case something got worse, but it seemed like things weren't getting worse. Inflation was coming
You
further
called it right.
down, so I got
Well, okay,
lucky.
so let me ask you this question. So this is what people are saying to me. So you made a statement saying that you think that the stock is $1 trillion stock right now, which many of us, including me, believe the same thing. But what I hear back from people, these traders, I call them, and they're self-described traders. It's okay, but they'll say, but Herbert, don't you know that the earnings for 2024 for 20 is going to be $5? So now you multiply that times 50, which is a fair PE ratio, given the fact that this is a vehicle in an automobile company. And 50 times 5 is $250. So we're basically priced correctly at this point right now. That's what I keep hearing. The reason why it's now $5 of PE ratio for 2024 is because, don't you know that they reduced the price, the prices? They had price cuts, and so there's margin compression.
Yeah, and that's not a bad analysis to make if you're thinking about next year. But if you're thinking that end of this year FSD might be solved, if you're thinking that next year we might have a much bigger TAM because of Cybertruck, if you're thinking, about all these other things, about the energy business really taking off, like, if you think about all these other things and you're not factoring that in, because we don't know, we can't actually map that out right now because we don't have the real data on it. Well, then, to me, again, that's where the delta lies, and that's where the money's to be
Exactly.
made. Because you could have
Yep.
made the same argument at 150. You could have made the same
Yeah.
argument at $100. You could, and you would have had a valid argument.
Yep.
But how you tell me a 50 PE for a company that might solve autonomy in the next year and a half makes sense? I would tell you you're insane. So
I don't even need autonomy to be solved. I mean, I just know that even just energy and auto, and just even auto, like you said, I like the way you said it, which is if you take a look where we are today and you think where we're, you're mapping it out, but you're not taking consideration, um, the launch of, the Giga Mexico will be the following year, but everything scales up, right? Everything starts to rise, and then they might change the prices again and raise them. As you lower the cost to build the cars, you can have higher margins again. So it's like as if things stay static when everything we know about Tesla is growth, 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 and continued improvement and technology advancements and so forth. So
Yeah, and the
yeah,
thing too
okay,
is
yeah,
you don't know when the domino's gonna fall, right?
yeah,
Like I mean,
like a
when
partnership with Ford.
well,
Yeah.
I would say, well, I mean, I mean more so just with the stock, right? Like think back to what was it, 2021 when we broke a trillion. That essentially happened like over the course of 3 days, right? It was right after the Hertz announcement, right? Like the most, I mean, yeah, it was great and exciting, but it was also kind of benign. But that was like
Mhm.
just the straw that broke the camel's back. And that's
Mm.
where the first domino fell. And, people start buying and more people are buying. They see the stock going up. Then there's a little bit of FOMO. And then maybe other firms that had these big blocks of, I want to purchase this amount. So they're slowly happening. Well, okay, let's execute. And you don't know when that happens. You don't know. So that could happen at any moment. And it could be for any random thing. It could be because, I don't know, Russia, Ukraine have a ceasefire deal. It could be because Ford says, okay, we're going to work with Tesla on autonomy. I mean, you don't know what it could be. So, but it could happen at any moment. And if you know, or if you believe, you can't know, but if you believe that Tesla is right about energy storage, they are the leader and they're going to be the leader on EVs. If you know that they are the only ones doing it profitably with really good margins, despite the fact that they're slashing prices and putting pressure on everybody else. If you know, I mean, just on and on, if you know all these things or you believe these things, well, then it's very risky not to be invested. It's extremely risky. So, so that's the way I look at it. And again, anyone can make a 1 year argument. Anyone can make a quarter by quarter argument for just the numbers based off of a spreadsheet or an income statement. What you can't see in an income statement is the rate of technology progressing, the rate of iteration of FSD, what's happening with the energy store. Like you don't see all that stuff, even on the income sheet, right? There's a lot of deals that have been done with Tesla Energy that we don't see, but we know that are out there.
Yeah.
Thanks to a lot of great work from a lot of people who follow Tesla. So those are the things, those are the intangibles that will not show up in the PE. And yeah, sorry, I could go on and on, but you get the
Go
point.
on.
Like there are things here that you have to think bigger than just what's comes out every quarter on a
Yeah.
statement.
So earlier I asked you what next big announcement you would think Tesla was going to do. Then I asked you what is the what was the, we talked about the stock and you said you think it's about $1 trillion now, but then you started talking about autonomy, right? Which is fine. But I'll tell you my contrarian view, which few people are saying. I think there's lots of people who believe what I'm going to say, but which is the next thing is going to be the bot. And I think that it's not necessarily an announcement, but you're going to see more and more bot videos in the next month or two. And I think by AI Day 3 September, you're going to see 50 bots, at least over 30. You know how you saw one, then we saw three, then we saw six. Now you're going to see 30 at least. It's exponential. And they can make many of these very easily. We've already confirmed that with, James Dalman, Scott Walter, and John Gibbs, Dr. Know It All, and a few others that I've been interviewing who are bot experts. Making the bots are easy. The only reason they wouldn't scale to 1,000 right now, which they could easily do today, is just because if they think that there's still going to be tremendous changes to to really perfect it before they want to make 1,000. But they need to make 500 to 1,000 so that they can get the data, so they can keep teaching it. And so I think that they're going to wow people, and it's a lot easier than people are thinking. I keep hearing from commenters saying you're dreaming, you're just a fanboy to think bots will not happen for 5 years or longer. And I've interviewed people, and they kept telling me, no, it's here. And every time you hear about the dojo and you're hearing about the progress of FSD, in that video that we just watched with Ashok, he continuously says, oh, and this applies to bots as well. So when you see that reconstruction of the street, the bot is able to reconstruct everything it walks. The street that when it's walking the street, it does the same thing. But if it's inside a house, it can reconstruct it. So now it can basically, factory or something that it'll know where things are because of previous bots walking that lane. So I think that it's going to happen much sooner. We think even sooner than FSD. So I've had a lot of pushbacks when I say that, but I think that it can happen sooner than FSD solved. Because the bot doesn't need to be like FSD needs to be like everything. It needs to know, 99.9% of all edge cases. There's going to be many edge cases it doesn't, but it needs to know everything, right? It's driving through streets. There's 4 million cars. The bot doesn't need to do that. It just needs to have one job at one factory to go from one spot here, walk 6 feet here, grab this thing and put it over here. And then just repeat that a million times. You can make 1,000 of that. You can use it in Tesla's factory today. And once people see that it's already being used for that, if they want to sell it, they could sell it, but they don't need to sell it. But the point is that it will open everybody's mind that this is a real product that's already available that can already be sold. It does not need to go to your home. It does not need to fold laundry or put away the dishes. It just needs to be able to grab one item in a factory and move it to another. And then they don't need to have the cages because it's safe for them to be around with the industrial robots. Anyways, I think that that's the thing that's going to open up people's minds and make them realize that Tesla's an AI company and they've got a product.
Well, I would say the people who tell you you're crazy are right, but not because of this.
Okay.
Not because of this. I think you're spot on with this.
Okay.
I think, I mean, just common sense, and you explained it very eloquently there. All it has to do is be able to move a box from here to there. We already know it can move a box from here to there. I
Yeah.
think it was investor day. I don't know. There's a video where they showed the bot grabbing an item, moving it over here. So it can already be useful potentially, right? So I would say it's already beaten FSD in that case because just doing one little task is all it has to be able to do to be in production because there's not a safety risk. So you're spot on. Like there's no even arguing that. And especially with this new acquisition or for the induction charging. I mean, imagine if you just put it like in a small path and it's just constantly charging and it's just a constant trickle charge, right? It's like, all right, so I don't need 3 of these to have 8-hour shifts. Like, no, I can have 1. So it's like the scalability of that's insane. But no, so yeah, so that's why before I was saying September, because maybe Giga Mexico Nuevo Leon gets announced beforehand. Maybe it does. Maybe it's delayed. Okay, so that would be a big announcement. CyberTruck, I think it'll.
Yes.
I think it might get pushed to Q4. Like, just let's be honest here. Like, just history. They can't even start a meeting on time. So let's just say Q4. So maybe that gets pushed off. So yeah, I'm with you. I think this next AI day there'll be a lot of stuff going on. It'll be the last one, I was coming home from my honeymoon and I was in Greece watching it. I think I was on a live stream with Farzad watching it. But yeah, so it was long, it was exciting, but we've seen a lot of new things since then. We've seen the bots building themselves. We've seen multiple bots walking around the factory. So I think this next AI day will be an AI day where they show how they're actually using it internally. I think you're spot on. I think they're going to show us how they're currently using it in the factory to do certain jobs. And, they'll show us all other kinds of things. But yeah, the bot, I think, is a lot easier of a problem not to solve. I mean, to get to 99.9%, it's a much harder problem, right? Because the world is so much more than just roads and street signs, etc. But the difference is a car has to be 99.9. The bot doesn't, like you said. And so this can just be useful to move boxes, to open my front door, to water the plants, and that's it. And I'm like, all right, well, hey, it's at 0.3% and it's extremely useful.
Yeah. And then the impact to Scott Walter, who's owned 2 robotics companies in the past, He did a whole
and
spreadsheet and showed that
lives nearby.
that yeah. What's that? Oh, he
He
lives
lives
nearby.
nearby. Yeah, he lives in Tampa. I
Okay,
live in
gotcha.
St. Pete. I'm over the
You
bridge.
know, you guys should hang out. It's like it's gonna be like what is that movie, Future or the
Yeah, Back to the Future.
no, the other one, the
Oh,
Wild Scientist. I'll come to me. You know what it is. Anyways, two together would be just like that. No, he was saying that he calculated everything, and the savings to Tesla is in hundreds of millions of dollars when you just replace a few of the workers with Tesla bot, and they'll be the first customer. So if they are the first customer, and I played this clip, right? Did you remember that clip from Tom Jew? I sent it to you. Yeah, you're the one
yeah,
that asked
yeah, yeah.
me. You
We
DM'd
were,
me.
yeah.
I sent it to you, and you saw it. This is Tom Jew saying that Giga Mexico might have 10,000 employees and maybe 5,000 bots.
Yeah. So for the people who aren't listening, so I heard Herbert on one of these many great interviews he was having, and Scott, he had mentioned that Scott had said that there'd be X amount of people or Optimus bots, and I DM'd Herbert, was like, "Hey, where is this clip? Because I just need to hear it for myself." And
Yeah.
sure enough, Herbert said that he was looking for it as well, and he found it. He sent it to me. Great job, by the way. Very good user experience. He sent it to me right on the spot, so I didn't have to go and scrub. I literally told him,
Scott Walter did that, by the way.
"Oh, okay." I was like, I literally texted Herbert. I was like, "Oh, here we go, 2x for the next hour, trying to find this one moment for 5 words." And so thank you, Scott. Thank you, Herbert. But yeah, it's such a good catch by Scott because I did not pick that up, and I think
Yeah.
that was like dismissed by a lot of people. But and so Herbert and I were DMing back and forth. Um, and I really think that they're going to be building a lot of bots like you're suggesting, maybe 5, 600. And I wouldn't be surprised if they take 100 of those. And the only thing they're working on is this next gen vehicle and how to do basic operations to build it. Right. I mean, if you look at the investor day presentation, it looks like it's just Optimus bots on the unboxing method doing everything, like as they come together on each side. And so, why wouldn't you be training that now before the factories even? I mean, it just seems so obvious. Forget about training it to do anything else. Train it just on that. Like that's the first you. I mean, I don't know. I get
Yep.
goosebumps and geeked out when I think about it.
I'm telling you, people are not listening to me, but it's going to happen way sooner. And I'm talking months, not years. And I think the reason I'm saying that is because I have a feeling that Tesla and Elon needs to shock the world and tell them that we are an AI company, and they need to do that now because they need to convince all the top machine learning, top engineers that come to Tesla not be swayed by all these flashy AI companies out there. And so the way to do that is by showing a bot doing things that is, recognizing the world. And by the way, I don't know if you caught this. I don't know if you caught this, but Ashok in that video that we just watched earlier, and then Elon tweeted back, he said something like, you can basically text prompt and tell the car what to do, like go straight or turn right. And so you can take that and make it say, well, you can do verbal. You can basically say, bot, sit down. Bot, come here. Bot, grab that box and bring it to me. Anyways, they need to like blow people's minds with a demo to make them realize, and this is a possibility, right? This would be flashy. This would be on TV. People would be like shocked that this can happen. This is a flashy way to show, because right now, vision AI, people don't really understand what that is. The car driving itself, I think no one knows about it, so that could do it, but it's not doing it. But I think a bot doing things could be the thing that blows this out of the water, and everybody goes, "Holy cow!" And then they all understand how big of a market this is. Anyways, okay,
No,
we'll
I'm
see.
with you.
We'll see what happens.
Again, I know I sound like I'm just like agreeing with everything you say, but when if you're right, you're right. Like, so there's no sense of arguing. But I think Elon has ramped up the rhetoric or
Mhm.
the message that they're an AI company, right? He's ramped it up. It's very obvious. He's been doing that, talking about AI, and he was doing it before, but since ChatGPT
Yep.
blew up,
Yep.
Elon has ramped it up. And so
Mhm.
100% with you. I think he's on a mission to let people know.
Mm.
I think this AI day is going to be very important because he wants people to know. You know what's insane? People still think that FSD, autonomous vehicles, people still
Yeah.
don't think that's AI. Like people
Yeah.
think AI is
Right.
just a large language model that can write my essay. Like that's what they think. That they don't realize that that's one transformer that is being like versus what the amount of foundation models that they're dealing with. It's just on a
That's it.
whole nother level, and people don't realize this. It's just this is the first time someone's able to interact with some, or the masses were able to interact with it, and so everybody's like, "Oh my god, look what it can do for me!" But just wait, just wait. I mean, if people are freaking out like that over writing, over emails and charts and making an itinerary, what happens when there's a bot that can do things in the real three-dimensional
Yeah.
world? Like it's
This
or
is crazy.
four-dimensional time, right? Within time as well.
Yeah.
So it's I'm with you, man.
Okay.
But
I will put the link to the video that of Ashok in the descriptions of this video. Thank you so much, Nicholas. This is fun. I like I said, we can talk forever. I really love this, enjoyed this. So thank you guys very much. And
yeah,
follow Nicholas on YouTube, Investing Against the Grain. And then what is your Twitter?
oh god, I don't even know. It is investing against the grain was too long, so I had to make it something else. Let's see. My profile.
Okay.
It's okay. It's at Nick Gibbs IAG. Nick Gibbs IAG.
And is that Nick Nick or NICH? Okay.
NICKGIBBS
Should I be
IAG.
calling you Nick? I've asked you this a few times before. It doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, you know, Yashu and Farzad call me Nico because I'm Spanish. You call
Yeah.
me Nick, you call me Nicholas, whatever you want.
I don't like Nick. I like Nicholas. Okay, we'll stick with that. Thanks, everybody. See you later, Nicholas.